Review. I'm the Wild Reviewer, and today I'm gonna review.
Hey there, how are ya?
Hello there. My name's the Wild Reviewer, or at least that's what I've been told. And this is a series I used to do called The Wild Review. It was a review series that ran for 6 seasons from 2015 to 2018. Everything since then has either been a mini-series or this in particular series, Rewild. A series I've created that allows me to look back at some old Wild Review episodes to see if what I talked about still holds up today. Because I have changing opinions. I am a growing boy, and some things I've said about TV shows or movies or just other various topics may have changed within the last couple of years, and that's what I'm setting out to do here. I'm gonna look back at various different Wild Review episodes to see if what I said is something I can still agree with. Or maybe I'm just making fun of my younger self. That's very possible. So, unless you have something better to do, which part of me highly doubts, seems like you're gonna be stuck with me for the next couple of minutes as we take a trip into the past. This is the Wild Review Rewild. This season has a theme also. We're going on a road trip.
Wild like wild like.
Hello, welcome to the Wild Reviewer, and welcome to the Christmas episode of Rewild. And check it out! Look where we are! We're at the North Pole, everybody! Wow. It's exactly what I thought it would look like. Look yonder, it's Rudolph. Yep, we're at the North Pole. It's exactly nothing out of the ordinary. Today's gonna be a good one, everyone. As a fitting end to this road trip of ours, because this is the final road trip that we will be taking this season, to kind of wrap everything up, I thought it would be very interesting to take a look at an episode that honestly I have kind of dread to go back to. Obviously it's a Christmas episode of the Wild Review, but I've already taken a look at the Nickmas review from 2015. Last year I looked at the Home Alone episodes, also from 2015. You know why? Because the other ones were fine. I talked about the Gummy Bear movie, Santa Claus 3, Jingle All the Way, Elf on a Shelf, which I would love to look at that again, but that's gone. Santa Claus Conquers the Martians. That's also what I looked at. And then I have a bunch of Christmas reviews for... I fell in line with the episodes that fell within the Wild Review show, as you know, unless you're new here. I used to do the Wild Review as a show within a show, like I was playing a character and was kind of like just looking for joking material. My reviews weren't as genuine, and my first year of doing the Wild Review, I did season 1 and then I did a little of season 2, and within season 2 I had 3 Christmas episodes, but immediately after the Nickmas episode in the show, I was gonna make that the final Christmas review of the year. But then I ended that on a cliffhanger, and I decided to do a much bigger Wild Review episode where I looked at a bad Christmas movie, and that movie was A Fairly Odd Christmas. Many of you probably know this about the Fairly Odd Parents, especially if you're a diehard Fairly Odd Parents fan. If you are one of those people, I'm sorry. As many of you know, the Fairly Odd Parents has had a interesting ride in Nickelodeon history. This kind of defines its ride, I guess. Fairly Odd Parents was a golden show on Nickelodeon for a few years, and then they started to introduce new characters, kind of to keep the storyline fresh, and for the most part it was fine. I actually talked about the Fairly Odd Parents as a whole in one of my earliest Wild Review episodes. In my opinion, the first 5 seasons are fine, and in season 6 we get introduced to the character Poof, as a lot of you know. It's Cosmo and Wanda's baby, and I thought that was fine. I mean, sure, Poof didn't add super much, but it did give them some new material. Wishology then happened, that was pretty cool. And I was even fine with the addition of Anti-Poof. I guess Foop, we should call him. I wasn't really bothered by that, but there was a change within Season 7, and Season 8 definitely showed a bit of a change, and honestly, I considered the show to have ended after Season 8. As much as Season 9 and 10 are constantly thrown in my face, I don't necessarily not believe they are real things, but they are just not great, because Season 9 introduced the most annoying character in the entire universe. There is a positive to that, though, because Nickelodeon realized that they had created a really obnoxious character, so they replaced Sparky the dog, but then in Season 10, they introduced Chloe Carmichael, another really obnoxious, annoying character. But that's where Fairly Odd Parents ended. Season 10 was the final season. They ended it horribly, and it did just really go downhill. All rules that were established in the show, they were thrown out the window. But that wasn't the full ending of Fairly Odd Parents, because in the middle of all this weird nonsense of introducing and taking away characters, which is something that they were known for doing, they took away a lot of characters. They even took Poof away at one point. We had these live-action Fairly Odd Parent movies that starred Drake Bell, who played a 20-year-old Timmy Turner. There were 3 movies. The first one, Grow Up Timmy Turner, which I thought was fine. And then they had a sequel, A Fairly Odd Christmas, what we're going to be looking at today, which I did not like. And then they had A Fairly Odd Summer, which I thought was fine and actually ended the series pretty well. It wasn't the best movie, but it was definitely better than A Fairly Odd Christmas. But that is not where The Fairly Odd Parents has ended, because if you've been paying attention to Nickelodeon, most recently they had a reboot of the show, or I guess a sequel series, called The Fairly Odd Parents Fairly Odder, which was a live-action spin-off, but it had an animated Cosmo and Wanda. I never got to watch the show, and I don't think I will ever be able to watch the show because Paramount Plus just completely got rid of it out of nowhere. It was just taken off, and it did air on Nickelodeon for a little while, but they have not replayed that show since. So I think this is a lost piece of media now, which is really interesting because they won a Kids' Choice Awards this year. And to make matters even better, we are apparently getting another Fairly Odd Parents show in the near future. I think this is an animated one as well. This is all just insane to think about because I'm pretty sure Butch Hartman left Nickelodeon. Didn't he officially part ways with Nickelodeon? Isn't he a YouTube star now? Also, isn't he supposed to be making a streaming site that a lot of people paid money for? How's that coming along? Anyway, I think I've introduced this enough. We're now going to be looking back at, again, an episode I really didn't want to look back at, but I thought it would be very fitting, and also because I didn't want to talk about the other Wild Review Christmas episodes. I didn't even need to make a Christmas episode, but I honestly feel like I should, because I've ended every season of Rewild so far with a Christmas special. Might as well keep the tradition alive. So ultimately, A Fairly Odd Christmas is the only one that we can look back at, and I think it's important because out of every episode of the Wild Review, this is definitely one that I think of the most when I think of the Wild Review show, because again, there is a story within here. We actually introduce a brand new character in this episode, and I remember when I was doing this, it was supposed to be like the start of an ongoing story. It actually kind of connects to some other Wild Review episodes in terms of what I've been doing, but I have not seen this episode since I put it out. I haven't blocked it out of my head because I'm not like that. I don't do that with my pieces of content that I make. But this is going to be an interesting one, so why don't you get a cup of cocoa, bundle up like I am. I'm not sweating at all. And let's dive in to this very festive episode of Rewild as we take a look back at A Fairly Odd Christmas. Also, I'm not looking forward to going back to this movie. That's another reason why I'm hesitating.
What do you think you're doing?
What are you talking about?
What's this whole nonsense about you just focusing about being happy?
Really? You really did that? You blasted me in front of my own show, all because of that?
Yeah.
Well, it is Christmas after all, and I thought maybe doing a happy Christmas review would get me in the spirit and all happy.
Well, that won't do in my book, reviewer. You know what does do in my book? High views.
This is one of the very rarest episodes where I'm actually called by my character name. From like the beginning of the show up until I want to say season 3, because that's, or maybe the beginning of season 4, because again that's when I kind of stopped doing the show itself and became more genuine. I used to go by the character name Reviewer. Now we looked back at the episode The Ghost of Wayne McDonald this season, and that's where I was really playing the Reviewer character. Even though we did just recently look back at that episode, I don't think we established my character name as Reviewer, and I think that's because it was a cringy name. I definitely remember after this episode, I thought it was weird that I was just being called, "Hey, Reviewer," like, you know, I don't know if I wanted to do that. I'm sure the review will get high views.
No, it won't. Because you know what gets us high views, Reviewer? Bad reviews. Only the ones where people see you flipping out is where people think it's funny, and therefore, that's what gives us the views.
Also, who is this guy? Who is this character? This is the boss for who I worked for. This episode essentially established that I was working for somebody, that The Wild Review was a show that I was doing and getting paid for, and this guy apparently was my boss. But I said earlier that this kind of connected to something early on that we saw in The Wild Review, and I did a review on the Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen video, the one where they go to the mall. They have like a mall party. I actually looked back at that episode last year, so that's something you can definitely check out. That was in season 2 of Rewild. And I went on a tangent, like at the beginning of the episode, talking to somebody off camera, and was just like, "Oh, I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about this at all." When really there was nobody behind the camera. It was me. This was my choice to talk about this little girl's video for kids. And then the following episode, I actually talked about Inside Out, and I did it in my closet as a way of rebelling from the man in charge. This is supposed to be like the man in charge. I did this again. Also, I think this was the second time that I did it. The first time it was really established was in Blue's Big Musical, that review, because at the very beginning I was like, whose idea was this? I don't want to do this. So this kind of carries on the idea that I'm just talking about things that I don't want to do. I'm essentially an employee to a much bigger individual who's just using me for views so he can get money. But that's not...
Don't argue with me. Just do what I say. And nobody needs to get hurt.
Well, I got hurt. I hurt my elbow.
Nobody!
This is weird, right? Like, this kind of feels a little weird. Just the setup of what's happening here, like, it's just weird. I haven't done that in a while. This Christmas movie that they did, nothing is good about it. I do not like it one bit. No. See where this is going. No. 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 Please, no. 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 Hello, welcome to the... Just play the goddamn intro. Yes, A Fairly Odd Christmas. The sequel that nobody really asked for. I'm serious, I didn't ask for it. You probably didn't ask for it. It was just made. It was a sequel to the live-action Fairly Odd Parent movie they did for the 10th anniversary called Grow Up Timmy Turner. It starred Drake Bell, Daniela Monet, and basically the same voice actors for Cosmo, Wanda, and Poof. Apparently that film did really well that they thought, okay, let's make a sequel, and thus Fairly Odd Christmas was born, and God, do I not like it. Now, if you've been with me from the beginning of this wild review journey, you'll probably already know that I've already made a review of the Fairly Odd Parents series altogether. I gave my opinion from the moment the Fairly Odd Parents started to where it is now, that I think it was a great show and it's turned to automatic crap. The TV specials and movies were great, and the Drake Bell films were in the middle. Oh, I got that shit. It's a shame as to what happened to the Fairly Odd Parents. I did just go over what happened with the Fairly Odd Parents and the history and such on Nickelodeon. You know, I think it's a prime example of what happens when a show goes on for too long. There's nothing wrong with being a very popular show, and honestly, especially in today's day and age where everything's just coming back, it's not surprising that they would bring back the Fairly Odd Parents, but I think the Fairly Odd Parents is the example to use to show what happens when a show goes on for too long. You have a certain idea, and you run out of ideas, because that's exactly what happened. They started to run out of ideas. They kept introducing new things, but they kept taking things out, so this way they could make room and adjust for a story. A show like Fairly OddParents as well, they did establish some continuity, and they established rules. In fact, the rules was a very big aspect of the Fairly OddParents, and the more they went on, the more they were having, I think, too much fun, and they started breaking the rules. And it just became a humongous problem. What's really interesting is I can definitely see somebody behind the scenes working on a fairly recent episode of Fairly OddParents and bringing up the idea that it's going against a rule that was already established in a previous episode. And then I can definitely imagine somebody else going like, oh, well, they're just kids. They're not going to realize it. No, we realized it. I know I wasn't 6 years old when season 9 and 10 came out, but still, if you establish rules of a show, we expect you to follow them. That's what rules are for.
Let's not waste any more time. Let's just dive right into A Fairly Odd Christmas. Brace yourselves. So we open up at the North Pole, where we see all the elves gathering together, and they all celebrate Santa's existence. I don't know, they're all cheering as if they're seeing Santa for the first time. I mean, look at this guy. If you work for him, why do you have to say that? I mean, didn't you see him, like, earlier today?
Here's something I've never understood about Christmas films. They are all equally unique and different in the way that they portray the North Pole and Santa Claus, but I find it just so interesting that the elves all the time treat Santa like he's a god. Why is that? I don't think there have ever been any normal elves. The elves in the Santa Claus, alright, they're fine. The elves in Elf, I guess also fine. Almost every Christmas film that I've seen that involves elves in some way, they are just too hyper about Christmas. And it scares me.
So apparently Santa's about to look over his naughty and nice list. They bring out the nice list, and the naughty list is... Jesus Christ, what's the big deal with the naughty list? It's like everybody hates all the naughty kids. Oh, and if that's not even enough, Santa doesn't even own the naughty list. Apparently there's this elf called Elmer, who we later find out in the film decides who gets to be on the naughty list. So it's not even Santa's job anymore.
Also, the way that they establish how the North Pole operates in every Christmas film, it's just really interesting. In this film, they have somebody who overlooks the naughty list. That's the first time that I've ever seen something like that. I've seen so many Christmas films since A Fairly Odd Christmas, and especially doing this review, and not once have I ever seen a separation from somebody doing the naughty list from the nice list. And most of the time it is just Santa that's doing all of it, but to have a separate elf doing it, that's a bit interesting. It also doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I think with Christmas films, when they deal with the North Pole, they feel like that they could just do whatever they want with them, so like, rules are just out the window. Look at that, rules again. We gotta set up some rules for how certain things go, everybody.
Now before we get anywhere else, I should probably say that Drake Bell isn't that bad in the film. Drake Bell has been with Nickelodeon for the longest time, and he's the one thing that, he's one of the things that makes this movie okay to watch.
Well, you can tell this is dated.
In the first movie, I thought he played a grown-up Timmy Turner absolutely fantastic, and he doesn't do a bad job in this one, too.
I gotta admit, though, he isn't that bad with being an adult Timmy Turner. The only thing that ever bothered me was at the end of A Fairly Odd Summer. Yes, I'm gonna spoil it for you, but Timmy ends up becoming a fairy, and instead of using Drake Bell's voice, they use Tara Strong's voice. Like, he sounds like a 10-year-old again. That doesn't make any goddamn sense. Why didn't they just use Drake Bell?
So other than Drake Bell being a good actor, I would have to say that the overall best actor, not just in this film or the other film, but in all of these films, is the guy that plays Mr. Crocker. I have absolutely no idea what his name is, but whoever this guy is, he was made for this role. And it's not even the voice actor of him. He just plays the character so well, the way he interpretates Crocker. You know who else is a great actor? Timmy's dad, whose name I can't figure out. But he's been on shows like Ned's Declassified and Big Time Rush. In fact, he's even been in The Fairly Odd Parents because he voices Cosmo, Jorgen, and Timmy's dad.
Live-action Crocker and live-action Timmy's dad are two of the best characters in this movie trilogy. Hands down. I do really like how Denzel Crocker is portrayed in this trilogy. Crocker has always been a really interesting character. In this movie series specifically, I think they've amped him up a little in a great way, which is very different from the animated series. They started using him too much towards the end. They really started to like him. They just threw him in situations that were unnecessary. I mean, they throw him into this movie, which I think is also very unnecessary. There was no reason for him to be there, but he is a very likable character, oddly enough, in this movie and throughout the other two films. It's all about how the actor played him, honestly. I really like the actor they got to play him. And then as for Timmy's dad, who is rarely in this film, in this one particular, he's in it a lot more in the summer movie. I just really like the fact that it's actually the guy who voices Timmy's dad. I have a big appreciation for when they actually do that stuff. The Loud House also does that. The live-action Loud House TV series that nobody asked for, they got Brian Stefanik to play the live-action Lynn Loud. So that's cool. I like that stuff.
So Timmy, Tootie, and Cosmo end up running into Christmas Carol and Dingle, some of Santa's elves. Carol and Dingle end up bringing Timmy, Tootie, and the fairies to the North Pole. Shut up! You are too loud! Turn your voice down! You are waking people up in China!
Okay. That was a comment that was made.
What did you get for me when I was 8?
A Professor Noggin chemistry set and ballerina shoes.
Whoa, let me try. What did you give me when I was 6?
Oh, okay, Mr. Timmy Turner, I understand why Tootie would want to ask Santa a question if he's the real Santa because she's never really met him. But there is no excuse why you are asking Santa questions to check if he's the real Santa. Haven't you met this guy like twice? You know, when you were 10?
We've already gone over this, but the continuity in Fairly Odd Parents has always been crap. What makes it a little more frustrating is that they have multiple endings for Timmy's story, because this is all about Timmy. We have had a few different timelines in terms of Timmy's story ending. We had it in Channel Chasers, we have it in A Fairly Odd Summer, we have it in the live-action series, so there are definitely a few different timelines that are going on within this series. I honestly, like, that is the biggest example to show that the continuity, even future continuity of the show, is just not stable. And sure, let's add to that problem by having Timmy Turner meet Santa Claus for apparently the first time. Christmas every day? Wishmas? That's not a thing.
But right after Santa tells Timmy he shouldn't make any more wishes around this time, Timmy ends up making a wish to help Santa fix the little machine that ends up breaking down, which leads into Santa falling into a machine and hitting his head, and making him think he's the Easter Bunny.
Until Santa gets better.
How much do you think this Santa got paid? Like, how much do you think this actor got paid to be a Santa Claus Easter Bunny hybrid? Doesn't he become, like, various other things in this film also?
So, yeah, Timmy ends up becoming the new Santa. That is until the old Santa can recover from his head injury. But then, plot twist, Timmy can't be Santa Claus because his name is on the naughty list. Gee, I wonder why. Hint, hint, Christmas every day and Merry Wishmas and everything else that's gone on in the Fairly Odd Parents. So because Timmy can't wish his way out of being not on the naughty list because apparently the fairy magic is blocked when there's no Santa, I don't know how that's possible.
The connection between the North Pole and how fairies work in this movie it was always just a big mess. That was one of the problems with it. It definitely made it seem like the events of the previous two Christmas stories, they weren't a thing. Oddly enough, those two holiday specials have more continuity than this movie ever did. It's very well established that the fairies give Santa all of their magic so he can work on Christmas Eve. That's how it's been. But that was established, and it continued on with various other appearances of Santa. And we didn't really see everything else in regards to what we saw on Christmas Every Day, with him just kind of being an average-looking individual. But the stories did stay the same for the most part.
He has to go to Elmer the Elf, you know, that short guy that everybody was making fun of in the beginning of the movie, and convince him to take him off the naughty list so this way he could save Christmas. Oh, and Mr. Crocker joins in, dressed up like an elf because one of the elves turned him into an elf because Mr. Crocker had to disguise himself as an elf. Why is he here? Listen, this guy did a great job in Grow Up Timmy Turner. He was technically the main villain, but there really is no reason for Crocker to be in this movie.
Already established, they use Crocker way too much. There was no reason for Crocker to take part in this adventure. He absolutely adds nothing. And like mentioned before, I do know that they insert him in a lot more Fairly Odd Parent episodes going down the line. We're even at the point where he just knows that fairies exist and everybody's okay with it. Like, it was a big deal beforehand, and now it's just fine.
So Timmy, Tootie, Crocker, Cosmo, and Wanda, and the Carol, and Dingle, they all go on the journey. Why are the elves going?
Yeah, like even here, he's with Cosmo and Wanda. And Jorgen's in this film, also. You should be freaking out about this. The Jorgen character, I'll mention now, he's also a pretty cool character.
So Timmy and Crocker encounter...
Hey, are you guys okay?
We heard a commotion. Say, are you guys really?
Gingerbread men? Sure are.
Of course. You know, gingerbread men. You know? Why would you ask that question? What do they look like? Polar bears? So, this part with the gingerbread men, I felt was a little cheesy. It felt like an old classic cheesy holiday movie. You know, the kind that a 3-year-old would probably watch around this time. Never mind.
Alright, the gingerbread scene was funny. I did laugh when I first saw that. I liked the gingerbread men scene. Looking at this, though, it did make me remember what the North Pole was like in the first Fairly Odd Parent special. It wasn't all that magical, oddly enough. Like, we had already established that it was a normal factory and such. I mean, you can rewatch the episode if you have access to it. You'll see that it's not depicted as a normal North Pole. But, yeah, the gingerbread men are there now. And they're coming to eat ya! Ha-ha!
So everyone gets together again after they got away from each other, and they end up spending the night at a why? Why? Okay, first off, it's nighttime? I thought it was Christmas Eve, first off. Is it taking them this long to get to this Elmer's place? Second off, how is there a fire in the North Pole? Isn't it like 0 or negative degrees there? It's pretty cold up in the North Pole. How are you able to make a fire? Don't even say that you had Cosmo and Wanda. They have no magic right now because I don't know why.
Yeah, I'm sure with the right tools you can make a fire in the North Pole. Yeah, it's really cold, but you can still probably make heat. I wouldn't know. I've never been to the North Pole, but hey, well, you know what, actually? I take that back. I'm here now. We could try to make one. Let's try to make a fire. I don't have sticks. Whoa! Check it out! I did it! See, screw you, past me. I proved you wrong.
You know, we've been focusing on Timmy and Tootie and the elves and the fairies a lot. I wonder how things back at Santa's workshop is going.
But I am here, face the horrible. Why are there no horses in this town?
You know, now thinking about it, why doesn't Jorgen do anything? Isn't he supposed to be the most powerful fairy in the world? Can't he just fix everything and make things go back to the way they were? And he can wipe minds. Why can't he fix scenarios? Is there a rule against fixing head injuries? He's there. He's just there. Why is he here?
Come forward to me,
How's he know my name?
You're on the naughty list. Of course he knows your name. Didn't we clarify earlier in the film that he made the list? Why would you ask such a stupid question? That's like the gingerbread question all over again. Think, Timmy!
Blaming your farts on your friends. Nice!
Whoa, did Elmer just make an Elmo voice sound?
Nice!
So the reason Timmy's on the naughty list is because all of Timmy's wishes have consequences, and Timmy doesn't really think about the consequences. Hence all the bad stuff that's going on in the beginning of the film when he was making careless wishes.
That's right. Be gone with you all. You're wasting Elmer's valuable time. You're on the naughty list, and you shall always be on the naughty list.
Wait a minute, what, always on the naughty list?
And Elmer sees
What the hell? What if Timmy were to do something nice in the future? Is his name still going to be on the naughty list because of that one little issue that happened? No wonder you're being booed at Elmer. I'd boo at you too. So after Crocker gives Timmy a humongous speech, Elmer overhears and decides that he'll change his mind about Timmy's name being on the naughty list and that Timmy can be Santa Claus.
I absolutely love in movies where one character is like, this is never gonna change, I'm done talking to you, and then one little thing is said with that character overhearing the conversation, and he's like, you know what? I was wrong, you guys are good, let me help you out. That's exactly what has happened here.
So when everything's ready and Timmy's set to go, they find out that the reindeer is missing, and that's because Crocker accidentally let them free and was pissed at them. So they hook up Timmy's van, Jorgen drives, and they deliver all the presents. I don't think you're a good Santa. I really don't. Because a good Santa would actually stop at all the houses and know what present goes to which kid. You're just throwing presents out the sky.
Throwing presents off the sleigh is not a new thing that is done in Christmas films. I've seen it in a number of different Christmas films and television shows, including Christmas Every Day. I personally am not a fan when it comes to doing that. I'm more of a traditional person and like to believe that Santa comes into the home to nicely put the presents all together. Because my logic is if you throw it off the sleigh and it lands in the chimney, how's it automatically going to the tree? I'm just trying to put this together, but I would like to think otherwise.
No fairies were harmed in the making of this movie.
Oh, of course no fairies were harmed. Because you weren't important in the film, guys! I know I said earlier that I forgot that Poof was in this film, but honestly, I forgot Cosmo and Wanda were in this film. I actually forgot they existed at this point, because they played absolutely no role in this whatsoever. You took away their magic and made them just go on this journey, watch Timmy almost fall to his death, broke away from Timmy at a point, and you expect us to believe it's a Fairly Odd Christmas. This is not a Fairly Odd Christmas, this is a Timmy Turner adventure. Fairies play absolutely no part in this other than the beginning.
Yeah, I was wondering when I was going to make this point because I was ready to just make this comment. I wanted to wait to see if I said anything about it. They do nothing in this film, Cosmo and Wanda. There's no reason why they are here. Just like Jorgen and just like Crocker, Cosmo and Wanda serve no purpose in this film. Poof doesn't even serve any purpose in this film. At the very end of the first live-action Fairly Odd Parents movie, they established that Poof has finally said his first words and now he can now talk. He does say something at the end of this film, but it's not in the same voice that we hear in the first movie, and he just does nothing. He's just there. The only people that do things are Timmy and Tootie. They're the only characters that serve a purpose in this Fairly Odd Parents movie. The fact that the fairies are powerless, well, that doesn't help. Also, it is never established that they give their magic away to Santa to help him. So that's another thing.
This is why this film is bad. I don't like this film. I don't exactly know who to blame for this film because it's very hard to point fingers. I can definitely say I can't point the people that acted in this film. Drake Bell did a great job. Daniela Monet also did pretty well, and all the actors really didn't get annoying besides Cosmo and Wanda, but they're animated. you can only blame the voice actors for them, but the voice actors weren't that bad as well. Because we have to remember that they're doing this to get paid. Acting is a job. Plus, all the character profiles were kept the same technically from the show and first movie. Besides Cosmo and Wanda, none of them really got on my nerve other than Drake Bell when he asked those really stupid questions. But then again, he was written to say them, so it really wasn't his fault. I don't know whose fault it was for this film, but all I do know is that I don't like it. The plot is okay, but I feel like we've seen it before. And if I could speak honestly, this doesn't even feel like a Fairly Odd Parent movie. Like I said, Cosmo and Wanda had very little parts in it. I actually forgot they and Poof were in the film. It was like they were invisible the whole time. It was just a whole big Timmy Turner adventure without his godparents.
Yeah, this is still a bad film. But it is not horrible as it is making out to be. I was definitely exaggerating when I did this review. I could definitely see it now. I was just trying to look for jokes. I was making jokes about essentially everything just to get a laugh. You know, again, I was also playing along with the story of, well, you gotta watch something bad because that brings up the views. Like, no, it doesn't. You can be honest and you can still give a really good review and it'll probably get a lot of good views. I was definitely making it out to be a horrendous film to watch that nobody should ever watch. In a way, I was half lying because it's still a really bad film. It doesn't do Fairly Odd Parents any justice, but it's not absolutely horrible. If you stumble across it one day by accident or you willingly stumble across it, you can definitely give it a watch. You can have your own opinion on it. I personally don't like it. I don't think it's a good piece of Christmas media, but somebody else might. So there's that. I think I was a bit too harsh, but some of the things, like I have established here, it's not a film for me. It's not one that I absolutely love. In fact, it's one of the worst Christmas films I think I've ever seen. And also one of the worst Fairly Odd Parents things I've ever seen. But then again, I didn't see the live action shows, so that position still might be up for grabs. Along with inserting Crocker into a lot of things, they definitely started finding new ways for fairies to lose their wands in these episodes, or give them a reason why they can't do magic. I think the outcome was always involving the idea of love. I could be wrong on that. I remember I saw this clip, it was either from season 9 or 10, but it was Timmy wanting to undo the wish and Wanda's like, we can't! Cosmo put our wands in the washing machine, and now we gotta let them dry. Like, are you kidding me? Are you kidding?
There. Are you happy now?
Oh, yes I am.
Well, I'm glad you are. Now I'm ticked off.
Oh? And why is that?
Are you kidding? This movie is terrible! Were you not listening to the words I just said? It doesn't feel like a Fairly Odd Parent movie, and it should never have been made! I hate this movie. It's terrible. I hate it.
And that's a good thing.
No. No, it's not good. I feel terrible watching this. Nobody should feel this way around Christmas.
But reviewer, that's just it. It's okay to feel this way.
What?
Alright, here we go. This is something I was dreading. Much like the ghost of Wayne McDonald, how there's like a little speech and moral at the end of the episode. There was definitely a moral within this episode, and this is where I was going to start to include these kind of moral things at the end of the Wild Review episodes. And if you're unaware, one of my inspirations for even doing this was the Nostalgia Critic, and you could probably see some similarities here. But one of the things that I wanted to do that Nostalgia Critic would do in his Christmas episodes is he would end his Christmas special with like a moral or a little speech. It would connect to something. So I kind of wanted to do the same thing because I thought I was clever. And I know for a fact I wasn't. But let's see what the moral of this episode was going to be. Why did I watch A Fairly Odd Christmas?
I didn't just have you review this just for the views. I did it to open your eyes, reviewer. Your video on Nickmas is sending the message out that everyone should be happy around this time. As if there's no worries at all. That's fine. But sadly, reviewer, well, that's nice and all. You don't just have to force yourself to be happy around Christmas. Just because it's a special happy holiday and stuff, that doesn't mean that you need to be happy from the moment that you wake up to the moment you go to bed 100%. because that's really creepy. It doesn't mean that just because it's Christmas everything's gonna go perfect. There are gonna be bad things and there are gonna be good things. This movie, for example, like you say, is a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with sitting down and watching it. There's nothing wrong with experiencing bad things. It's okay to let out other emotions around this time. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be happy around Christmas. It's even okay to be shy. And yeah, it's okay to be happy, but don't be that happy. I'm not saying you can't be happy. That's not what I'm saying. You could be happy all you want. But don't forget about the other feelings. Don't forget about sadness and anger. Christmas isn't just about being happy. It's about everything. Goodbye, reviewer. And Merry Christmas.
So the lesson here is don't be happy during the holiday season. Be all the emotions. Be happy, be sad, be angry, be disgusted, be frustrated, be depressed, be anxious, be stressed. What else is there? I think those can't be all the emotions. Yeah, so this holiday season, make sure you're feeling all those emotions. Don't be happy all the time. It's okay to be sad. Well, I'm exhausted. Hey, that's an emotion. Well, that's gonna do it for this holiday episode of Rewild. That's it. I'm not looking at it anymore. I'm now just gonna enjoy the holiday season, and that's that. That'll be it for today's episode, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. If you would like to, for whatever reason, check out this episode of The Wild Review, that link will be in the description below, as well as the previous 2 seasons of Rewild. And this season as well, because we've wrapped this season. That's it. That's it for the year, everyone. Good job. Good job, North Pole. Let me know in the comments below if you agreed with what I said here, if you agree with my past self, or if you disagree. I'd love an argument. Kidding. We're not going to start a fight. It's Christmas. I'll wait till Boxing Day. That's going to do it for today, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. I hope all of you have a fantastic holiday season. I do have to apologize now, though, because I know if you've been with Rewild for a while, if you're a fan, if you've been paying attention to Rewild, the past 2 holiday specials, I've had a little treat for you. For season 1, I did a special Wild review episode reviewing something else, and last year I hinted at the next installment of the 25 Wild Christmas Review Days mini-series, although it was 12 Wild Christmas Review Days. Unfortunately, this year, I don't really have anything for you. I don't have a new review planned out. I don't have a new mini-series, so there's unfortunately no surprise here for you. Hello? Hello? It's you! That alien creature from the first episode of this season. Have you been following me? What are you talking about?
Ho, ho, ho! Hello there, old friend. It's been a long time.
The boss character. You can't control me anymore. I do my own thing now.
Oh, slow down there. Why don't we get the hellos out of the way first?
Mo? Don't forget me. Marty? Hi, reviewer. First off, I don't go by that name anymore, because it's cringy. But oh my god! The old characters of the Wild Review. are all of you doing here?
Well,
I'm not going back to how I used to do things.
oh, so naive. You always were, even when you were playing a character. This nice individual has brought all of us back together, just so we could say, thank you for creating us and making us part of your world. We may not be around anymore, but you are. We're here to remind you to just be yourself. That's a good moral to end on. Now, I would love to stay here for hours and catch up with you. I have plenty of crime stories to share. It's been a wild couple of years for me. But unfortunately, we all have to go now. Goodbye, reviewer, or whoever you want to be known as, and Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me the... Oh, okay, well that was rude. Wow. Seeing my old friend... Is he still... Wow. Sure was nice to see some old, underdeveloped faces. You know, this has me thinking. I've enjoyed looking back at some old media, but all this time I've just been talking about things I've already talked about. And there's still a full world of media out there that deserves to be talked about. And who else but me? I'm clearly not doing anything else. Well, there are only so many Wild Review episodes I can look back at. Eventually I am gonna run out. You know what? Maybe I'll return to looking back at some old Wild Review episodes one day and seeing if what I said back then I still agree with, but maybe I should focus on talking about some new stuff going forward. There sure are a lot of pieces of media that I would like to talk about. New movies, new shows, and new thoughts to go with each one. But where to start? Holy crap! Get out of here!
Wild like wildlife.